She is married to George Clooney and is beautiful. You could say that her wedding was the most important event of the year, but let's look at it in a bigger picture. It was one of the most important events in human history. The twins Ella and Alexander were finally born to George and Amal Clooney. These two will definitely have interesting and well-known lives together. They were born to a famous Hollywood star and a well-known international human rights lawyer. The shocking news about the Clooney twins has broken down Amal Clooney's strong walls. Amal is a loving mom who is known for being strong and brave in court. She wants to teach her kids to be kind and understanding. What deeply moving things did her children say that made her cry so much? What new part does this discovery bring to her inspiring life? Today we're going to talk about a touching moment between a mother and child that no one could have seen coming. The one twins, Alexander and Ella, were wrapped up to stay warm as they left the Four Seasons Hotel on Thursday, December 6, 2018, to face the cold East Coast winter weather. Amal Clooney and George Clooney are used to being surprised, but Amal was not ready for her twins. A recent statement that came as a shock. The kids she has, Ella and Alexander, are known for being naughty and having active personalities. The twins are still very young, but they are already very funny, especially when they pull pranks on people. This seems to be in their genes. Recently, their playful behavior took a sudden turn that made their mother feel very sad. The twins have a lot of fun, and so does everyone else. They like to dress up as rock stars and sneak snacks into their shoes. Their dad talked about a time when their son hugged his dad's car to show how much he loved them. Are they the same height now? He's taller though, it's strange. They are and they each have their own traits. He actually goes outside and gives my car a hug. Car. It's bad when I'm driving because he hugs it. At the same time, her daughter, who seems to be fashion-forward like her mother, has been going through her mother's clothes and taking different purses. But the jokes weren't the only thing that moved Amal. The level of ability in her children is very high for their age. The kids speak English and Italian very well. According to George, they must have gotten smart from their mother, though it was a recent, sincere talk that moved their mother. The twins are only 7 years old, but they have seen Amal's drive for fairness as they have grown up. With her as a role model, Ella and Alexander easily learned to care about other people and want to help them. A lot of the time they asked her why she worked so hard and why people needed to be protected. This made her feel uncomfortable, and she hopes that her kids will understand and even be inspired by the work she does for human rights. For Amal, who has spent her whole life fighting for people who are being mistreated, just hearing these words made her cry. She understood that her kids were starting to understand her position, even though they were still very young. She also understood that her twins were growing hearts that were just as curious and caring as they were funny and naughty. What did Amal Clooney's early life do to shape her path to becoming a famous human rights lawyer and a wonderful mother? At the same time, Amal Clooney, a human rights lawyer, told countries at the UN to focus on bringing those responsible for war crimes in Ukraine to justice. Not in the spotlight at all. Even though Amal Clooney is a famous person around the world, she began her journey in a more humble setting. When she was born in Beirut, Lebanon, the world was full of political problems. Her family fled the Lebanese Civil War when she was only 2 years old. They went to England for safety and ended up living in Buckinghamshire. She grew up with 3 other kids. Her mother was a political writer and her father was an educated businessman with roots in Beirut's well-known Druze community. They raised her with values that encouraged intelligence and toughness. Amal went to Dr. Chalonet's high school and then St. Hugh's College, Oxford, where she started to do very well in school. She went to New York University to get her Master of Laws because she was interested in the law. While there, she did an internship with Sonia Sotomayor before she became a Supreme Court justice. Her life wasn't all about school. She learned a lot about different cultures as a child and became skilled in many languages, which later helped her connect with people all over the world. These events quietly made her into the caring champion she would become. But how did Amal go from living a quiet life to becoming a famous lawyer around the world? A strong supporter. Amal Alamuddin, who is now known as Amal Clooney, is suddenly in a class by herself. We used to only talk about Jackie O's, Princess Di's, and Kate Middleton's. In other words, everything she does, says, or wears is officially interesting. Amal Clooney's road through school and law shows how driven and ambitious she is. She learned a lot about the law from training under Sonia Sotomayor, who would later become a U.S. Supreme Court justice. Her time in college was both hard and inspiring. She learned more than just getting degrees. It set the stage for a job based on advocacy, kindness, and fairness. She continued her trip when she went back to the UK and joined the well-known Doughty Street Chambers in London. She quickly became known at Doughty Street as a skilled lawyer who specialized in human rights and international law. Her cases were tough because they often involved famous people and touchy political problems. She fought for journalists, political prisoners, and oppressed groups to get justice. As an attorney who isn't afraid to take on some of the toughest legal fights in the world, she earned respect. She worked for clients across countries and did everything from fighting for free speech to helping people who had been wronged. People around the world were amazed by not only how good she was at her job, but also how much she cared about her clients and fought for their rights. As her work went on, she took on cases all over the world. This week, Mrs. Clooney went to Washington, D.C. to push the U.S. to do more to stop abuses of human rights in another country, which made her look like an expert on human rights. Many people who want to become lawyers look up to her and see in her a way to make the world a better place. Her job and path through school show how passion and hard work can change her life and the lives of her clients. She did more than just work as a lawyer. She spoke up for people who didn't have one. What other goals did she have in mind besides becoming a lawyer? The hard-fought battle. Amal Clooney cares about justice in more places than just the courts. The Clooney Foundation for Justice is a strong group that fights for human rights and people who can't fight for themselves. She helped to start it and now runs it. The foundation helps people who are being treated unfairly by governments by making sure their views are heard through programs like Trial Watch. The Sentry and docket systems are all about finding corruption that hurts people's rights. Her foundation also works hard to protect communities that are weak, help kids go to school, get justice for refugees, and fight hate crimes. The way she fights for justice changes people's lives all over the world, not just in courtrooms. Amal has always fought hard for the rights of women. People have called her a superhero for her work to make the world a better place for women. George and Amal Clooney are two of the most well-known people who speak out for refugees. They are now speaking out to help the millions of people who have been forced to leave their home countries in search of safety. One young woman from Lebanon is able to go to a top foreign school every year thanks to the Amal Clooney scholarship she set up. She has spoken at many events around the world about how important it is for women to stand up for each other and how important it is for guns to be used in war. Women can do anything, she says, as long as they keep working for their rights. But she also talks about the problems women face based on where they were born, which makes the fight for equality really hard. That everyone should be strong and always stand up for what they believe in and help make the world a better place. She talks a lot about how brave women need to be to stand up to the unfair things that happen to them and fight back. In a speech to Vanderbilt University graduates, she told them to be brave and question the status quo. Her words were so moving that they earned her a standing ovation. She is a teacher as well as a lawyer and defender. The next group of lawyers is also moved by her to fight for human rights. As of 2015, she was a senior professor at the Human Rights Institute at Columbia University, where she taught students about international law. She has also taught at colleges all over the world, where she shared what she knew and her love for justice. She is changing the world for the better and for a long time. Maldives has hired Amal Clooney, a well-known human rights lawyer, to be their lawyer in the International Court of Justice for Rohingya Muslims. Her bravery and drive have made communities better, changed lives, and pushed governments to be more fair and equal. She thinks that people should live important lives that other people will remember for the good things that happened along the way. How did Amal Clooney go from fighting for justice without fear to meeting the love of her life in a strange way? An unexpected get-together. When Amal met George Clooney in 2013, her life took a turn she didn't expect. She had been focused on her work as a well-known and respected human rights lawyer, and she had no idea that her life would change so much. She had been okay with the idea of staying single for a while, but when a friend put her in touch with George at his home by Lake Como, everything changed. From a simple visit that turned into a love story that neither of them saw coming, nothing was the same. That she was surprised at how quickly she fell in love with George. Even though their lives were very different, they had a strong bond that couldn't be ignored. After a few months, they became closer, and she saw that he was someone she could build a life with because they shared the same ideals and values about life. It wasn't just love that brought them together, it was their shared beliefs that held them together. When they first met, she was struck by how dedicated George was to helping others and how much he cared about justice, which was similar to how she worked in human rights. These promises that they both kept set the stage for their friendship, one where people respect each other and want to make the world a better place. The two fell in love in 2013, but it wasn't until 2014 that they took the next big step by getting married in Venice. Today, the sun did not rise in the west, and the birds did not fly backwards, but George Clooney did get married. They got married in a casual wedding in Venice, Italy. Just wait until you see who showed up for the event. The wedding took place in the beautiful Aman Canal Grand Hotel and was small and lovely. She wore an Oscar de la Renta lace dress that was stunning. On his way, George arrived in true Venetian style, riding a boat through the canals. With their closest family and friends by their sides, the pair celebrated their love in a classy and meaningful way. She had even more changes in her life in 2017, when she and Clooney had twins. She hadn't really planned for that moment to happen because her career had always been her main goal. But when I was with George, everything was fine. A lot of their private life had been kept from the public eye. Everyone was shocked. George had two beautiful children and was now a loving father. He used to be known as Hollywood's perfect bachelor. Amal felt a lot of strong emotions when she became a mother. She had never been sure if she would have kids, but she loved being a mom with all her heart. The strong bond she had with George made it easy for her to move into this new part of her life. Together, they found a way to balance their busy jobs with spending time with their families. Their home was full of love, happiness, and a shared desire to provide a safe and caring place for their children to grow up. In spite of their public personas, they were able to keep a lot of their relationship secret, even the most private parts. People were interested because they wanted to know how such a famous pair could keep their love so strong and long-lasting. Her life became even better after they got married. Her work kept going well, but being at home with George and their twins gave her a happiness she had never known possible. Because of the pandemic, the family spent more time together, and she loved seeing her kids grow closer to their dad during those times. He was a dedicated and loving dad who had once been unsure about becoming a dad. There were times when the way he took on this new job made her cry. It's clear that she and her husband have a strong bond as parents and partners, even though they still keep a lot of their family life private. Their story shows that even when bad things happen in life, people can still find unimaginable happiness. As a dedicated lawyer, she has turned into a wife and mother. This change has brought her joy, surprises, and times of deep feeling, especially when it comes to their children. How does Amal make sure her kids are safe in her home life so secret? The mother who watches over, even though Amal Clooney is a famous lawyer and wife, it became important for her to protect her kids, Ella and Alexander. When her son said, George Clooney says that his romantic proposal to wife Amal didn't exactly go as planned, she broke down in tears. The star jokes on the Drew Barrymore show about the time he got down on one knee after putting together a mix of music by his Aunt Rosemary Clooney. In their innocent way, they're starting to understand how their life is different from everyone else's. Even though she and her husband try hard, it's hard to hide how famous they are. When she was younger, she always hoped that her kids would grow up without having to deal with the risks that come with having parents in the public eye. Amal and her husband decide what to do so that their kids are safe and happy. George also feels the weight of his kids becoming more aware. He thought about his work obligations after he became a father. He is picking jobs that keep him close to home. She is proud of how hard her husband works to provide for their family, and hearing her kids' honest thoughts made her even more determined to keep their lives as normal as possible. She's touched by how much her kids trust and accept the life they've been given. Amal knows that she might not be able to keep her kids out of the public eye completely, but she's eager to try. This upset her deeply because it showed her how much her children value their privacy and how much they have grown in their understanding. It breaks her heart a little to know that her and George's work has changed their lives. She is also moved by how strong they are becoming. That moment made her remember how important it was for her and Georgia to look out for each other. She keeps working hard to make sure that their kids can just be kids who are free, loved, and as normal as they can be as they get older. But what words did young Alexander say that shocked Amal and made her cry? Talk between a mother and son. Amal and George Clooney have always kept their kids out of the constant attention of the media, but as her son gets older, he started to notice things about his parents' work. Because she works hard as a lawyer, she has been to places and seen things where justice, respect, and human rights are at risk. Even though her job is hard, she has kept it mostly separate from her family life, especially for the sake of her kids' privacy and innocence. But as her son becomes more aware, it touches her heart and starts talks that make her feel both vulnerable and proud. Alexander has started to ask his mom why she works so hard and why her job is important. His mother learned how much kids notice and change their surroundings from the innocent questions he asked. She told her friends that her son's questions sometimes make her feel dumb. It's hard for her to believe that her son is already connecting with the things that are important to her. Every question her son asks shows that he cares and wants to do the right thing. For her and her husband, balancing fame, work, and family has always been hard, especially as they try to give their kids a normal life. The Clooneys are very private about their kids, unlike many famous families. They make sure their kids grow up out of sight of the public. She feels a good amount of pressure as her son becomes more interested, especially since she knows that he and Ella will have to deal with this heritage one day. The couples are hopeful, even though their jobs are heavy. George has also told close friends that seeing his son's caring side grow has made him feel like his kids are following the values that he and his wife hold dear. For her, these small statements have become deeply moving times of connection, not just between mother and son, but also as a family finding its place in the world. She is both worried and excited to see how her kids grow up. She thinks that he might leave behind a memory of kindness and fairness instead of fame one day. But how will the quiet power and growing confidence of her daughter affect the Clooneys' future? the quiet designer. Amal Clooney is known for how good she is in court, but at home, she is just a proud mom. This woman is great if you want to know about the Clooney effect. We are still looking at her as if she were the most stylish person in the world right now. Ella Clooney has always been an important part of George and Amal's lives. She was born on June 6, 2017, just 2 minutes after her twin brother Alexander. Alex looks a lot like his dad, but Ella, with her big, beautiful eyes, looks just like her mom. Her father once told her that he was amazed at how much his daughter looked like Amal. He said it was amazing. Ella is more shy than her brother, who is very open. This is especially true around adults. George said that Alexander likes to laugh and be the center of attention, but Ella is more serious and quiet. It shows how thoughtful and careful she is that she likes to make sure everyone behaves and follows the rules. She may seem serious at times, but she also likes to have fun. George has a great sense of fun and loves making his kids do silly things. When Ella first saw her brother pulling pranks, she didn't join in. She just watched and laughed. She joined in on the fun and started to copy her brother's moves. It was a funny turn of events when Ella showed that she can get into trouble, even though she's shy, by watching her brother do it. That's not all, though. Ella has also loved fashion from a young age. Her dad once joked that his daughter might become as stylish as Amal since they already had a little diva in the house. Amal has talked about how important these times are with his kids. The twins think their mom is the coolest person ever all the time. She laughed because she knew that as they got older, they wouldn't always feel this way. The mother of the twins told a sweet story about how her kids see their dad. Alex and Ella think their dad can fix anything but the weather, she said. He's not only their dad, but also their hero. Someone who can make people laugh so hard they cry and solve any problem. It became clear that Ella was shy again when her family got Rosie, a big, active saint. Bernard dog. George and Amal Clooney have finally made up their minds to get a dog and add to their family. Ella was a little wary after Rosie got stung by a bee, and would cover her face when they took the dog for a walk. Alexander, on the other hand, loved telling people what had happened. He told everyone they met with confidence that the puppy had been stung by a bee. These kinds of things show how different the twins are. Ella likes to blend in, while Alexander loves to talk about his adventures. It has been very touching for Amal to see Ella grow. The fact that her daughter is quiet and thoughtful, and that she is becoming more and more interested in fashion and fun shows how much she is changing into her own person. Ella may be shy around other people, but her personality really shines at home, where she knows it's okay to be herself. Seeing how much her daughter has changed has made her mother cry, and it has made her realize how valuable these early years are. What did Amal do to keep her work and home life in balance? The lost piece. People have always respected Amal Clooney for juggling her demanding job as a human rights lawyer with her duties as a wife and mother. However, new rumors say that her marriage to George Clooney may be having some problems because of their busy schedules. Reports say that the couple is having a hard time finding enough time for each other, even though they are seen as one of Hollywood's most perfect pairs. There was a time when they wouldn't be apart for more than a week. In the beginning of their marriage, this promise worked well. But it got harder to keep up as their jobs grew. Now George is going to New York City for a year to be the lead in a Broadway show. Prepare. George Clooney is about to start playing on Broadway. He is the lead in the play based on the movie, while Amal stays in Lake Como with their twin 7-year-olds. Reports say that the couple only spends a few hours a day together. This makes their kids wonder if their marriage can handle the stress of their busy lives. Both George and Amal work hard at what they do. George is now 63 years old and has been shooting with Adam Sandler in Italy. He is now getting ready for another project with Brad Pitt in New York. At the same time, Amal keeps going back and forth between London and The Hague for work as a lawyer. Before they got married, she made it clear that her work would always come first, and George agreed with her. But both of them are still doing very well in their jobs. It looks like the mental gap is getting bigger. Most of the time, they spend time together with their kids at their home in Lake Como. Their kids, who know how busy their parents are, recently told them how much they miss spending time with both of their parents at the same time. Amal reportedly broke down in tears when she realized this sad truth. She loves her family very much and finds it hard to balance her personal and work life. People may laugh and joke around at the Clooney house, but there are also important lessons that are learned there. As Ella and Alexander get older, Amal wonders if they will share these values and become like her. Or they might join her in her fight for justice one day. Or maybe make their own unique ways to help other people. What do you think of the touching moment Amal Clooney had with her kids? Could this show a different side of her amazing journey? Please tell us what you think in the comments. Don't forget to share, like, and follow for more. Also, click on the next video that comes up. It will be fun for you.